You ever notice how, in a conversation, you sometimes only catch the parts you want to hear? It's something we all do. Well, today, we're going to dig into why that happens, the hidden dangers behind it, and this is the cool part, how you can actually turn it into a kind of superpower. So let's start with the big question.
So yeah, why? Why do our brains do this? It's not some personal flaw, It's actually a fundamental part of how we're wired. Think of it like a mental shortcut, a kind of confirmation bias that's just humming along in the background of our lives. And at its heart, the reason is pretty simple: comfort. Hearing things that line up with what we already believe just makes the world feel more predictable, more safe. It validates our story of how things are, telling us, yep, you got it right. It's this little trick that helps us feel secure. But, and this is a huge but, that comfort is a total double-edged sword. Sure, it can act like a shield for our ego, but it can also become a prison. It has a really perilous side, and, surprisingly, a really powerful one too.
Okay, first, let's talk about the danger zone. This is what happens when our selective hearing is just running on autopilot, and we start creating a warped reality without even noticing it.
The way it works is super subtle. Someone says a whole, complex sentence, right? But our brain just snatches the few words that confirm a fear or a belief we have, and pretty much throws the rest away. And when we do that over and over, we're not really living in a shared reality anymore. We're building our own false one, brick by brick, and we can get trapped inside. A really common and kind of heartbreaking place we see this is in toxic relationships. It often kicks off with manipulation, subtle digs, backhanded compliments. Then, the person on the receiving end focuses only on certain phrases, like that one rare compliment or a hollow promise, while ignoring a whole pattern of disrespect. This just fuels a toxic cycle of hope and hurt, and it creates a situation where, honestly, nobody wins. A key word for this whole dynamic is insinuate. It's all about saying something nasty, but in a really indirect, subtle way. And it's the perfect tool for manipulation because the speaker can always deny what they meant. Meanwhile, the listener's selective hearing can either totally ignore the jab or, just as bad, obsess over it, all while missing the bigger, healthier picture. So, here it is, side by side. The peril, that's when we're drowning in a false reality that we've accidentally built for ourselves. But the power? Well, the power is the ability to consciously grab the steering wheel and totally reshape how we react to the world. So how in the world do we do that? Let's shift gears from the peril to the power. Let's look at how we can turn this unconscious habit into a deliberate tool that actually works for us. Okay, picture this completely different scene. Imagine a stranger, or maybe a coworker, just unloads on you, a verbal attack, totally out of the blue. Your immediate gut reaction is probably going to be anger or defensiveness, or you're going to feel hurt. But what if you had another option? This is where the magic happens. Instead of just taking the hit and absorbing the literal attack, you can consciously choose to hear the message that's underneath it all, the one that actually protects your own peace of mind.
There's actually a simple but super powerful four-step technique for this. First, you just hear the attack for what it is. Second, you see where it's really coming from. It's not about you, it's about their bad day. Third, you mentally rephrase their words into what they're actually saying. And finally, you react from a place of calm, because you've just disarmed the whole thing in your own head.
And this is what that mental translation can sound like. As they're yelling, what you choose to hear is this silent script: "I'm sorry, I am in a bad mood. These words are not intended for you, but have to go somewhere at this moment." Now, of course, they're never going to say that out loud, but by hearing this instead, you change everything. And that's the result. By doing this quick little mental reframe, you shift your entire emotional response. You go from being a target to just being an observer of someone who's having a rough time. It's how you take back control and keep your cool.
So, let's bring it all home. Look, the goal isn't to magically stop having selective hearing. We can't. It's part of our wiring. The real goal is to become aware of it, to move it from being an unconscious habit to a conscious choice.
And that really is the most important thing to remember here. We stand at this crossroads every single day. We can let this tendency drag us down into a delusion we built ourselves, or we can grab it and use it as a tool to master our inner world and how we react to the outer one. That choice, it's always ours. There's this beautiful thought that just wraps all of this up perfectly. A whisper can reshape a mountain if enough people lean in to hear it. And, that doesn't just apply to big social movements. It applies to our own inner landscape. The quiet whispers we choose to listen to about who we are and who other people are, they have the power to completely reshape our reality.
And so that brings us to the final question I want to leave you with. The world is full of noise, right? Good and bad. So from now on, which whispers are you going to choose to lean into? The ones that build you up or the ones that tear you down?